Pues buenos días, creo que me toca a mí romper el hielo. Eh, Buenos días a todo el mundo, bon dia. Eh, jo seré molt breu, senzillament donar la benvinguda a l'Alain Platel, a Narcís, good morning, hello.
Good morning.
Good morning. No, només dir que este va a ser ya el segundo espectáculo en el Flash, enmarcado en este nuevo festival Flaix de Tardor Barcelona, que está dando muy buenos resultados y dándonos muchas alegrías a todos, creo. El segundo que vamos a coger en el Lliure, después de haber recibido el fantástico El tiempo todo entero de Romina Paula en el Espai Lliure recientemente. Vamos ahora con este Coup Fatal, este espectáculo concierto de Alain Platel, donde se unen la música barroca occidental y los ritmos y las músicas africanas de una manera heterodoxa, abierta, libre y tremendamente energética y luminosa, creo. Este espectáculo a mí me pareció, cuando lo vi en una fiesta, es un espectáculo emblemático que pasó ya por el Temporada Alta y que estamos contentísimos de acoger en el Lliure y sobre el cual os hablarán ahora el mismo Narcís y sobre todo Alain, su director. Así es que gracias a todos y contentísimo de acoger este Coup Fatal.
Gracias Julio, gracias al Lliure por acoger, por acoger Coup Fatal y por participar en el Flaix de Tardor. Y muchas gracias a Alain Platel por estar aquí. Estamos haciendo la rueda de prensa en castellano porque tenemos una parte de la prensa que se conecta desde Madrid, donde también se podrá ver el espectáculo. Nada, antes de pasarle la palabra a Alain Platel, presentamos a Coup Fatal, un espectáculo que se había presentado en una primera versión hace unos cuantos años en Temporada Alta. Ah, Se decidió hace poco tiempo, hace pocos años, remontar el espectáculo, y pensamos que era una muy buena ocasión para presentar el espectáculo en Barcelona, donde no se había presentado. Es un espectáculo un poco difícil de clasificar. Es un concierto, hay movimiento, hay una dramaturgia, pero no es un espectáculo, ya que pensando que tenemos a Alain Platel aquí, no es un espectáculo de danza convencional. Esto nos lo va a contar mejor Platel, y es una colaboración de Alain Platel en la dirección de escena con Fabrizio Casol, que es el director musical, y con Rodríguez Mangama, que es el director de la orquesta Coup Fatal. Y que es una colaboración que ya habían realizado en otros espectáculos, como por ejemplo Requiem pour Elle, que también se pudo ver en Girona hace unos cuantos años. Y nada, le voy a pasar la palabra a Alain Platel para que nos cuente un poco qué es este espectáculo, que ya os digo que me parece un poco difícil de definir, y un poco también por qué esta idea de volver a montar un espectáculo que había triunfado hace unos cuantos años.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you for having me. Yeah, it was a special question because I'm not so much into repertoire or taking again certain performances unless they continue to exist. Like, for example, with Out of Context for Pina, that exists now for 16 years, but is performed by the same cast. But the question came from Rodriguez Van Gama, because he absolutely wanted to gather the musicians again to do this show again, and I was curious to see if it would still work after 10 years, and it certainly does. But it started as a music performance because Fabrizio Casol, the composer Fabrizio Casol, and I have been working together for many projects, and in one of them there was a countertenor from Kinshasa, Serge Kakuji, who was very much interested in European Baroque music, and he joined us in a performance called Pitié that was in 2008 something. And when he went back to Kinshasa, he wanted to figure out if it was possible to continue to work on this European Baroque music, but together with local musicians, and find a way to to bring together those two very different kind of musics, the music that was popular music in Kinshasa, and then European Baroque music. And so they were working together on music parts, and invited at a certain point Fabrizio Cassol to support them, to help them in composing and recomposing this music. And it was Fabrizio who told me, you should come and see what happens here. And so I went to Kinshasa, I saw the musicians, I fell in love with this whole idea. And when they asked me if I could work on a theatrical translation of this performance, I felt, I was very curious, and I really wanted to try this, to figure out if there was a way to combine those two worlds. So that's where I joined them. But the project, on the moment that I joined them, already existed. And it was not so difficult to make a dance performance of it, because, you know, when I met the musicians in a rehearsal in Kinshasa, they were all sitting down on these blue plastic chairs that we also use in the performance. And the first thing I asked them was like, can you stand up when you play music? And from there on, it became a dance performance. It was easy as that, in fact. So to restage it, we did it in Geneva, and for me, it was pure joy to rediscover the performance in general and the musicians in particular. And since then, because we premiered it almost a year ago in Genève, they started to have a new tour, and wherever they appear, they are able to put the fire in every theater that they perform in. I mean, the audience just loves it. Apparently, it's something that gives a lot of energy and a lot of positive energy to people who come and see the performance. So I'm very happy that they will be in Barcelona and Madrid. Unfortunately, I cannot be there with them, because even though I'm retired, I still continue to work. But I'm sure it's going to be marvelous.
Alain, nos comentabas antes de que entrase la prensa que hay algunos cambios en intérpretes y que hay, por primera vez, porque en la primera versión no estaba, una presencia femenina también en el espectáculo. ¿Ha cambiado mucho el espectáculo desde la primera versión que vimos hace 10 años a ahora?
Yes, one of the problems was that some of the musicians could not join the new version because of their own professional careers that were going on. So Fabrizio and Rodriguez were looking for replacements, and the people that they found are just amazing. But one of them, one of the musicians, is replaced by a woman. And that is indeed quite new, because originally it was only a male cast, and now there is one female dancer, musician, singer who joins the cast. And even though we didn't want to highlight it or make it extremely important that she's there, she gives, of course, a complete new flavor to the whole performance. And for me, personal, for the better also. It's an amazing dancer, musician, and I think it only adds a positive energy and vibe and vision to the performance. I think it was one of the critics when we first toured with Coup Fatal that there were no women in the cast. And Rodriguez explained in those days that it was quite difficult to find in Kinshasa female musicians who could join him in this specific project in working on European Baroque music. But in the meantime, 10 years later, things changed. And one of the things that happened also was that Rodriguez van Gama, who is originally from Kinshasa, but is living in Belgium nowadays, has been a very important figure in Kinshasa to support the music education of women in Kinshasa. So it's on a local level changing gradually for the better.
Vamos a abrir las preguntas a la prensa cuando quieran. Yo le quería preguntar a Alain, tú en muchas ocasiones, o normalmente, digamos, has trabajado con grupos de bailarines con formación de danza contemporánea, has hecho espectáculos de danza, que podemos leer como danza contemporánea, y luego tienes otra línea, digamos, que es trabajar con personas que de entrada no son bailarines. Estoy pensando en este espectáculo, estoy pensando en Gardenia, que es un espectáculo muy distinto. ¿Cómo te acercas a estos cuerpos, a estos intérpretes que no vienen de la danza, cuando tú eres conocido sobre todo por ser un coreógrafo?
Well, I'm not a choreographer.
Okay.
To be honest, I studied psychology and pedagogics, and it was just an accident that I arrived in this world of performing arts, because I started to make little performances with friends and relatives in the mid-80s. That's a long time ago. And it was only, these performances were made with friends and relatives, people who had no professional background, but I was interested to work with them on their physicality, on the way that they moved, on the way they behaved and stuff like that. Very inspired on the work of Pina Bausch in those days. And when gradually, when it became more and more a professional company, when gradually also professional dancers were interested in our work, I just continued the way that I was working with the non-professionals. I did the same kind of work with professional dancers because, I couldn't show them how to dance or to move. So I was depending very much on what they were willing and able to share with us. So they were making the material, and this is something that stayed like that until today. So it's true that I have been making performances sometimes with only professional casts, and then the recent years I have been working together with Opera Ballet Vlaanderen, so it was like also with a ballet company. But in the meantime, I was never afraid to work together with very diverse groups of people, where professionals, non-professionals, adults, children, people with disabilities and not. I mean, that it was something that happened in a quite natural way, and my way of working fitted easily in all these different kind of casts and groups of people.
Paula, no sé si hay alguna pregunta de la prensa.
No hay ninguna pregunta.
Vale, pues yo lanzo una última pregunta y les animo a que participen. Y es un poco, Alain, en relación con... Me gustaría saber cómo has participado unas cuantas veces en espectáculos, has hecho espectáculos con un núcleo africano importante. Pienso en Requiem pour elle, pienso en Coup Fatal. ¿Hay alguna fascinación, hay alguna conexión con África que te haya llevado a esto o es pura casualidad?
I think most of the encounters I experienced throughout my whole career were by accident or were proposed by other people, and the connection with African dancers became important for me, even though I had been working with African dancers before meeting Fabrizio Cassol. It was Fabrizio who introduced me to the world of African musicians, and especially to musicians who live in Kinshasa. And going there, it was like falling in love with something I didn't know much about. But to meet artists from Kinshasa was so overwhelmingly inspiring to me. What I think in the work for me has always been very important, especially when I work with people from Kinshasa, was that there was a possibility to have like an exchange, you know. I felt uncomfortable to go over there and, try to teach something or explain something, let's say, European. But if there was an exchange possible, between the artists in Kinshasa and myself, then it was very enriching. And the fact that they decided, that Serge Kakuji in those days, I'm talking about 2013, decided to work with European Baroque music was a very interesting trigger. But in the whole experience, working together also with Fabrizio Casol, composer, who had been working his whole life together with musicians from all over the world. He was my guide in all this. He was my mentor in how to approach and communicate and go for these kind of artistic exchanges. So he for me is a very important person in that. And then in the context of Coup Fatal, meeting Rodriguez van Gama, because I have to say that now I feel very much that this project, Coup Fatal, is the project of Rodriguez van Gama and his musicians, and also of Fabrizio Casol, because they are very close in following up the tour. I feel that it's really their project for the moment, which I like very much.
Paula, ¿hay alguna pregunta?
No, no hay ninguna pregunta.
Pues si no hay alguna pregunta ahora, yo no tengo nada más que invitaros a venir al Lliure estos 3 días, desde mañana hasta el domingo, a ver esta fiesta del teatro y de la música y de África. Y agradecer al Lliure otra vez por acogernos, a Alain Platel por estar aquí y por haber creado este espectáculo. Y muchísimas gracias a todos.
My pleasure.
Un plaer també. Gràcies a tothom.